What's up guys, my name is Riley, aka R3IXY, and welcome to the second episode of Seeing Sound Design, the show where I take you on a journey to learn sound design techniques through the use of visuals. Last week I covered sound, which is the essence of sound design, so if you haven't seen that episode, go watch it. It's basically an introduction to what I want this series to become, and if you work in any area even remotely related to sound design, you should have a really good understanding of how sound works, which that video covers. But for this episode, we're getting spooky. A couple of days ago, I found myself in a Halloween mood, and I decided to try to make a song that you could find in a horror movie. And about halfway into making it, I realized that all of the plugins I was using were completely free, and all sounded really good. One thing I've learned in 10 years of music production is that free plugins that sound great are a life force. So I decided that I was gonna make a mini episode Halloween special of Seeing Sound Design, where I go over that song I made and all of the free plugins I used in it. Let's do this. Alright everyone, so welcome to the project of the song that I was talking about in the intro. We're gonna go over all of the sounds in it. There aren't too many, there's 7 or 8, and the song's only a minute long, so it's not super complicated, but I am gonna go in depth and explain each sound and how I did it and what libraries it comes from. The first plugin I'm gonna introduce you guys to is called Labs by Spitfire Audio. And Labs is a collection of, at least hundreds of presets in really high quality libraries that are completely free that Spitfire Audio decided to put out. And I use it even in all of my electronic music that I produce, and it's incredible the amount of sounds you can get from it. They all sound super good. And let me remind you, this is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting any money for it, but this is genuinely one of the best free plugins available. Because you get such a variety. Like there's piano, there's percussion, there's strings, there's trumpets, there's electric piano, which I use a lot, there's choir stuff, and it just goes on and on and on. I literally use this plugin so often, and in this project you will see it is almost every sound that I'm using, and that's because of how good it is. The first sound is this preset, which is the short strings preset. And what's really nice about all of their string libraries is that it goes all the way from violins into violas, into cellos, into basses. So you get the whole array of strings in one preset. So in terms of processing, what I'm doing to this sound is I'm first EQing some of the 100 Hz to 200 Hz frequencies out of it, because a lot of muddiness can come from those frequencies, and also because the next thing I'm doing to this is distorting it. 100% of mix, 100% post gain, 100% threshold, so I'm absolutely crushing this sound. And this EQ can make a big difference in how it sounds. So if I turn this EQ off, this is what it sounds like. And when I turn it on, this is what it sounds like. And after that distortion, I'm just putting some reverb on it and then EQing it to add some bass notes, and then I'm taking away around 500 Hz because there's other instruments that occupy that frequency range, And then I am raising the highs to make the bass sound closer to the listener. Without it, it sounds like this. And it sounds farther away already. With the EQ on, it sounds like it's right next to whoever's listening to the song, and that's exactly what I wanted. For the next sound, we are going to talk about this clock sample. I got this from a website called freesound.org, which I've been using for about 5 years now, and it is awesome. You can get completely free sounds that are royalty-free that people just submit to the website for anyone to use. With this website, anyone can submit sounds, so you won't always get high-quality samples like you do on Splice, but it is free, and I've been really lucky and been able to find a lot of good stuff on there, and I highly recommend it for just sound effects and stuff. It has a lot of that stuff. I used it as a percussive element because I wanted something to drive the song forward. The next sound we're going to go over is this, which is another Labs preset, and it's just a droning note which goes on throughout the whole song. This is the Evil preset from Amplified Cello Quartet, which is one of the things you can get for Labs for free. There's a lot of additional frequencies outside of the note that make it sound kind of unnerving. It's not stable. I like using unstable noises in creepy music because if you use a lot of stable music, I think it gets the user, or not user, listener, too comfortable with whatever they're listening to. I want people to be creeped out. This sound, there's not much processing going on. I'm just EQing it. I'm boosting the main frequency of it, taking away some highs because the high end is reserved for the clock, and the bass because they sound close, and I'm adding some reverb on top of this. I'm also using another string preset, which is playing the fifth of the root note. The root note is D, so this would be playing an A. I just wanted some harmony in it, and this is from the Frozen Strings library, but this is what that sounds like. They're really textured strings, which I like a lot. This kind of reminds me of like Viking music, Nordic kind of stuff. I think it sounds really good. And as a drone note, in addition to these strings, it sounds really, really good. And the last drone thing that I'm doing is the Cautious Mute preset from the Trumpet Fields library. And like I said earlier, I don't use a lot of stable sounds in horror soundtracks, so you can hear that this is moving back and forth in pitch sometimes. It's not constantly the same note, and there's a lot of movement in it. So with all of the drone stuff combined, it sounds like that. And in terms of processing for all of these, I'm not really doing a lot. I'm EQing them to make room for other stuff and adding reverb onto it. And now we're going to talk about what is probably my favorite sound in the whole song, and it is this. And that sounds like it's straight out of a horror movie, which I really, really liked. This is the Chatter preset from the Amplified Cello Quartet library. And one note at a time, it's not too chaotic, but I wanted it to be really, really chaotic and have a lot of movement in it. So I played 4 notes at a time, and I'm using this essentially as a riser. So in the song, it rises and builds into the next sound we're going to talk about, which is this. This is just FL keys, actually. I am drenching this in reverb. The wet is at 125% and the dry is also still up, but the tail goes on for 5 seconds and it's pretty loud. I'm EQing some low end that FL Keys has that I didn't really enjoy. I'm taking away some high end, and I'm doing the reverb that we talked about earlier, and then I'm compressing a little bit. So you can see when the piano first hits, it dips in volume a little, and that's so everything else can be louder around that. The last sound we're going to talk about is this. This is a clarinet from a plugin called Visco 2 Orchestra, which is completely free. And when there's a sound that Labs doesn't cover, I will use this. So, for example, Labs doesn't have a lot of woodwind instruments. So when I need a piccolo, a flute, an oboe, clarinet, bassoon, I use this. And it sounds really good. There's sustain presets and staccato presets, which you can change with these notes down here. They're really, really good. And there are so many instruments in here as well. So if you ever have a sound that you can't do in Labs that's orchestral related, chances are you can do it in this plugin.